Right, I'm going to be telling you all about how Facebook uses the data that you give it just by making posts, how it decides whether or not you're in a relationship or not. It does this remarkably simply just by measuring the rate at which you make a post. Statistics is known as as part of the language of, it's gone again. So I did this last time, and just went, it's gone. It's part of the language of trying to convince you how to do something. This appeared on my Facebook page at one point, shared by a friend, and I thought it was very strange. It struck a nerve with me, but it reminded me of a graph that I had to actually Google search for. Be careful what you search on the internet, because definitely, if you're going to search for Elvis, Love Me Tender, please start with the word Elvis and not just launch into Love Me Tender, because you get all sorts of weird things. Right, what this graph shows is that the rate at which you make a post drops significantly once you've started a relationship, regardless of whether or not you've made the change to your Facebook status saying that you're in a relationship. Which, how does Facebook know this? It's really strange, but it does show that quite a lot across a lot of the users of Facebook. That's a uniform thing. Now, a post on Facebook can be a like, a notification, a message, how you interact with the website, not necessarily whether or not you're just visiting it. You're making posts, you're interacting with people. They need to know this for the business model, which is so they can explain to their shareholders why people may or may not be using it. Because they want to keep an active number of users. It's simple. So in order to search for it, I used Facebook's relationship predictor, which did not show me that graph. It showed me a completely different graph, which is where things start to get rather interesting. This graph that's being shown now is what was the result of that Google Internet search. That's an example of what Facebook could come up with by examining how you use it, and it was overlaid with the person that they think you're in a relationship with. So it shows things like mutual friends, groups, pages, all sorts of mutual interests to show how they decide whether or not you're actually in a relationship with that person. Now, again, this is all fairly innocuous because they use the same characteristics to define everyone. They do this all the time. It's all automated. It's not someone there watching what you do. It's all automated by computers, and they can perform an awful lot of analysis on this, and they can decide by running it through another algorithm how strong the relationship is and how long the relationship will last. What does this mean? Are you going to be stuck in Heartbreak Hotel, or are you going to be on a hunk of burning love? This is the thing. Correlation does not equal causation. Just because Facebook says that your relationship is only going to last so long doesn't mean that it is. I'm well ahead of myself here. That just shows that a lack of pirates doesn't increase global warming. Again, correlation does not preclude causation. This shows the number of films that Nicolas Cage appears in every year seems to correlate to the number of people who died falling into swimming pools every year. Which, obviously, unless they fell off into the swimming pool by the fact Nicolas Cage was in a film, who knows? Relationships are not about what computers say. You cannot be defined by numbers generated. It's all like human interactions. This is one of the greatest things about human relationships. If you're going to live by what a computer says, you're probably not doing it right. Because you all get out there, enjoy the time that you have with each other, and at the end of the day, who cares what Facebook says? Because it's not real. Thank you.
We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out